Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonny Lipsham.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live from my brand new studio in Midlothian in Scotland, southeast-ish of Edinburgh. Rocking the Steely Dan t-shirt tonight. Because why not? Anyway, to those of you that are watching in the city of London down in England, my thoughts and my prayers very much are with you at the moment as you are experiencing unprecedented floods like floods like you have never seen since like 1928 or something like that, the last time London had phenomenal flooding. I have lots of friends in London because I lived there for 12 years. And so it's a city that is close to my heart personally, as well as having, people that I care about very deeply down there. And they're not having a great time. And, some of them have had their homes completely ruined. It's going to take probably the better part of a year to 18 months before they get their homes back. It's been pretty horrendous, and there's been similar things in Germany and Belgium and the northern parts of France as well, and it's just been pretty shocking and pretty horrendous. So all of you that are struggling with, high river levels and floodwaters and that kind of thing, I'm giving you permission tonight. Don't watch the show. Just go do what you have to do to look after yourselves and be safe and, make your house safe, if at all possible. So, yes, it is pretty extraordinary. Up here in the central belt of Scotland, it's actually been glorious weather today. And yesterday, equally glorious, beautiful sunshine, not a drop of rain, and very warm, up in the 80s degrees Fahrenheit, which would be kind of like mid-20s degrees Celsius. So it's been pretty gorgeous up here, and it's just so sad and terrifying that there's been these incredible storms. Edinburgh has been beautifully dry, but I know that London has received like 100 millimeters of water. That's like 5 inches of rain in a single day, which is just ridiculous. So there's a lot of you out there who are affected by this, which is why I'm starting the show with talking about this. So I hope everybody is okay and everybody has otherwise had a good week, because I know for the most part there's been glorious sunshine, and then all of a sudden this, the contrast could not be more ridiculous. So John Lake was here. He said he's just had dinner. And then Robarth, Melted Cheese Home Studio. That is a great name for a studio. You've been doing a 12-hour shift. Wow, yeah. And it's an hour later in Holland. To all my European friends in the Central European area, because it's an extra hour late for you, I really do thank you very much for watching the show live, because I know it's like 1 a.m. until 2 a.m. for you, and there are some of you who are even crazier than that, and it is like 2 o'clock in the morning for you, and you're going to stay up and watch until 3 in the morning. You are nuts, but I love you very much, and I thank you very much for watching. You guys are epic. So with you guys in mind, I am considering and toying with moving my show back an hour, just because I think it might be easier for everybody. It does mean that it's going to be like 5 p.m. Central Time instead of 6 p.m. Central. I'm not sure that I'm going to do it yet, so I would appreciate your feedback. If you've got, if this is something that you agree with or disagree with, then please leave a comment down below if you're watching on the replay, or in chat if you would like to. But yeah, I want to kind of find a time that is going to work for you guys wherever you are in the world, and also for me here in Scotland as well. Bearing in mind that I have to work tomorrow as well. So, as we all do. So, I want to kind of get things right for everybody, so that I'm not kind of like struggling to get out of bed tomorrow morning, which I really don't want to have to do. But also I want to be able to serve you guys most effectively. So, if you've got some thoughts about that, please do let me know. I would appreciate it. But in the meantime, Tony Stringer is here as well. Ken Moss, one of my faithful moderators, is here. Thomas over in the Philippines is here. And Just Bob is here as well. Awesome, because I know Just Bob can't always be here, but I'm very glad that he is. Let's see, Music to Motion is here. Kevin's Guitar Stories says hi everybody. I'm glad you're here, Kevin, because we chatted on Facebook a little bit earlier, so I'm glad you're here. Kyle is here as well. Sean Aaron is here. Let's see, who else do we have? James Gianni is here. I always get your name wrong. It's Giannoni. There you go, Giannoni. Apologize. You're here. Music to Motion Night Writer is here. Lowenz is here as well. Lowenz, I've not seen you in quite a while, so I'm glad you're here. Let's see who else is here. Whoa, the chat just jumped dramatically. Marcos Gomez over in Brazil is here. Dwayne is here as well. And I think we reached the bottom when we have 20 people watching and 12 likes. Awesome. So if you have not hit the like button, please smack it now. If you have never subscribed to my channel, please do that. You can do that kind of over there-ish. I think it's over there. Just hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell and make sure you select all notifications. When you hit that bell, you'll get a couple of options. So make sure you hit the all notifications. That'd be really, really helpful for you. Really, really helpful for me, because it means every time I either do a video or this show, for example, or I put up a post in the community section of my channel, you'll get a notification about it and you'll not miss a thing. So if you like what I do, that's the best thing to do, because that way you'll just not miss a thing. And that's going to be great for you. Going to be great for me as well. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Mika Han is here as well. And he's saying that he hopes everyone is well tonight. Yeah, we're all doing not too bad, I think. Peter Brooks is here as well. He says, me. Thank you, Peter. Yes, I'm doing all right. And it's been a glorious day here. And I know that other parts of the world are not having a great time weather-wise. They've had freak storms, flash floods, all sorts of crazy things going on. So to you guys, I'm thinking about you and praying for you. Mika says, Swedish meatloaf is on the menu this evening. Ooh, wow. I don't think I've ever had Swedish meatloaf. I thought that Meatloaf was a singer-songwriter, but that's okay. All right, so tonight, what are we going to do? Tonight we are answering your questions for the most part. And I might even demonstrate some stuff in Studio One, and I might even demonstrate some stuff over here on this crazy guy. Kind of depending upon what you guys want to know. But yes, another Q&A session. However, my plan is, said this a few times now, but this still is very much my plan, is to make these Sunday Night Lives a lot more focused and a lot more topic focused. To kind of do a demonstration of something that maybe you guys have not seen before, or you're not very familiar with, or maybe even needing, a refresher on about how a certain function works in Studio One. Or, we can make this a little bit more DAW agnostic, and we can do stuff that's just generically songwriting, generically mixing, generically mastering. We might do some of that as well. So if you've got some ideas that of particular topics you would like me to cover, then email me, Jonny at johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. And if you send me an email, then I will absolutely go ahead and focus on that particular thing for a show. And it'd be nice if I could build up a nice list. That way, for the next 6 months or so, I could have Sunday Night Lives nailed down. That would be great. So we can split the show in half, kind of have a topic, and then for the first half, and then the other half would be doing what we're doing tonight, which is kind of answering your questions. So let me know what your thoughts are. That would be awesome. Let's see. Marcos is curious. Okay. He says, you prefer Drumagog or XNL for drums? I have no preference on either because I do not own them and have never owned them. So I don't know. I can't really choose between the two products if I've never owned them. However, I do know that they're both very good. Drumagog, I think, is either free or very, very cheap. And some of the others that are around are not quite so cheap. I'll tell you what I use for drums. I use two things. I use Impact in Studio One. It's native to Studio One. I also use UJam. What's it called? Let me just check. What's it called in UJam? UJam Fat is what I use because there's some nice funky drums in UJam Fat, and they make a great sound. There are some really nice samples. I also have some drum loops from Looploft. Let me see, what are my Looploft ones? My Looploft ones are by a drummer called Matt Chamberlain, who is one of the top session drummers in the world right now. And then I also have the Tom Brecklin drums that was recorded at River Sound Studios, which is the studio at Presonus headquarters in Baton Rouge. So Tom, who has played with, amongst many other great musicians, he has played with Chick Corea and a lot of other great big names in jazz and fusion and funk. He's a terrific drummer. I also know him personally. But yeah, he did 2 volumes of loops and samples of his personal drum set at River Sound Studio, and I have both of those. So I use Tom Brecklin drums. I also use Matt Chamberlain drum loops from Looploft. I use Impact, and I also use the UJam Fat as well because it's awesome. It's just the stuff that UJam makes is fantastic. So if you're not familiar with UJam, check them out because they have drums, they have basses, they have keyboards, they have guitars, they have all sorts of stuff where there are loops and there are samples, and you can put together a whole rhythm section if you want that just would work brilliantly, of samples that you can use to make music really quickly. So no, I don't know what those are. And Gerard is here as well. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Music Emotional says, would you ever be willing to change the sound to a piano on your keyboard so it translates like a piano would rather than the Rhodes sound? Yeah, I've done both. I have done both. This is kind of my preferred sound because I have a Fender Rhodes, which is in storage right now from our move. And I fell in love with the Fender Rhodes when I first had one. It was my parents. And they took it to Vietnam when they were over there with the Bob Hope show during the Vietnam War, and it survived being in combat conditions and came back home perfectly in June. And they had it for a number of years, and then they sold it, and I was really sad that they sold it, but at the time we were very, very poor, and we pretty much had to sell everything, so the Fender Rhodes had to go. and then I managed to acquire one. And as I say, it's in storage now. But this guy sounds exactly like the one that I personally have. So. So I really like it, but you know, I will also do some piano as well. So yeah, I will do either. But as I said, I have a preference. But there is also a fantastic Hammond organ on this guy as well, which I'll just quickly show you. It's loads of fun. So yeah, I'll play either. And to be honest, when I'm doing sessions for people, I play whatever they need from this guy. Because this guy will do a lot. It will do pianos, electric pianos, clavinets. It will do synths as well, analog. It's got modeled analog synths on board. Plus, it's got the Hammond B3 as well. And a Vox Farcifer, and what's the other one it's got on here? It's got a few different things on here. What's that other one? I can't think what the other organ is on there right now, but yeah, it's got like 2 or 3 different organs on there. Let's see. Use Motion uses UJAM. Yep, UJAM is fantastic. They are awesome. Mika says he has to be honest that it's hard to delineate notes and clusters, etc., etc. That's interesting because I've actually watched my videos back because I always do a quality control check. Once the show is done, I always spend a few minutes just going through different parts of the show just to make sure the audio and the video looks and sounds good. And I've not encountered that problem as yet, so but that's interesting. Kevin says we talked about using the dim switch a week ago. I tried and could not really hear my backing tracks very well on my guitar. The dim switch. Are you talking about the dim button on the monitor station? I can't quite remember what we were talking about in that context. So you may have to give me just a little bit of injection of some help memory-wise there. Mika says the organ is super nice. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. Let's see. Nice keyboard you have. I like it. I just think piano translate better across the stream. Maybe, maybe not. Gerard, again, he says, someday I would like to play a 97 key Bosendorfer Imperial 290 9.5-foot grand piano. Those pianos are awesome. Yeah, the Bosendorfers are great pianos. Having actually played Bosendorfer a good few times. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but I'm not necessarily also the biggest fan of the Steinways either. I think kind of my ear kind of wants something that's in between the two. And I've yet to find it. The Yamaha pianos come close to what I'm after, but still, some kind of piano that has the tone and the characteristics of all three of those pianos would be fantastic. Not found that kind of a piano as yet. Oh yes, you asked how I stream without headphones. Yes. Above, on the monitor station, above the dim button, there is an attenuation knob. And what you need to do is you need to run some audio through your speakers, and then you just need to turn this attenuation knob to get it to the point where you can hear it without the mic picking it up, or at least the mic not picking very much of it up. So you're getting as little bleed as possible. And it took me a while to find it. And sometimes I still have to tweak it, like on Songwriting Simplified with Jonny. Sometimes I have to tweak it a little bit. I have to turn down the attenuation so that I can hear Jonny a little bit more clearly in my speakers. But there is a trade-off. When I turn the sound coming out the speakers up a little bit more, then the mic is much more likely going to pick it up. And I want to try and avoid the sound of the mic and the sound of the speakers going through the stream more than once, if I can avoid it. So yeah, you have to find that point, and it'll take a little bit of experimentation to do it, but it does work. It does work. The best way I can suggest is when you are set and you're getting ready to do your show, Kevin, the advice I have for you is pull OBS open on your screen so you can see the meters. I mean, as I can see it here, I've got 2 meters. I've got one that shows the mic, and then my other meter shows Studio One. So when I'm playing Studio One, the sound is coming directly out the speakers, and I can see if there's any bleed being picked up by the mic, because the mic will give a little bit of a peak if it's picking up the speakers, and then I can adjust the attenuation to basically minimize what the mic meter is telling me in OBS, and then I know I've got that point kind of balanced. It's not going to be loud. It's not going to be like you would normally. It's not going to be a volume that you would normally mix at. But it is possible to be able to do a stream without a set of headphones when you find that right balance. It's a little bit tricky, but it's well worth it. I mean, I used to do these shows with a pair of these on my head all the time, and I don't mind doing that. But what that does mean is, what I found was, particularly for me doing my show late at night, it meant that with the headphones on, I would talk more loudly, which would disturb my wife and my kids. So I had to come up with a solution whereby I would not be talking more loudly. And so this was the solution I came up with. I had to find a way to not use headphones and be able to do my show. Now I could have used earbuds or something like that, but again, that would create exactly the same problem. I would be talking too loudly because I've got the earbuds in. So Music Motion says, in 30 minutes, can we post my Zoom link? I know it is very late for you, but some of your patrons and fans do enjoy just hanging out and talking. Yeah, absolutely. most certainly. Just ping me that link and I will put it in. Mika says, I know some refurbished old model Baldwin mini stand grands that sound delightful. Baldwins are really nice pianos. They make some of the best upright pianos. I mean, you can get really low budget Baldwin pianos that don't sound that great. And actually their soundboards are really sensitive to cracking. But some of the kind of upper mid and higher range Baldwin pianos are really lovely pianos. And they have a really nice action, not too weighty, but not too easy either. So you really get a sense of the percussion, you know, when you're pressing down on the piano. You really get a sense of, hey, I'm not playing a keyboard instrument here, I'm playing a percussion instrument, which is, for me, what a piano is. Yes, it's a keyboard instrument, but it's primarily a percussion instrument. And that's what drew me to the piano in the first place, was the percussive sound of, you know, the hammers against the strings. And so I like pianos who, you know, the hammers have been well worn in and the felt has been worn away just a little bit, so you get a little bit more bite to the attack of the hammer on the strings. That's the kind of piano tone that I really like. Mika says, Yamaha pianos sound the best overall. Yamaha speakers on your Yamaha Speedboat. Yeah, I guess they would. Peter Brooks says, do you know of any artist that has produced their music only using VSTs? Yes, I know several. There are plenty that have only ever used virtual instruments. I went through a period where that's all I did because I didn't have the Nord at that point. I only had this guy on the top here. So I had no choice, really. I had this guy and I had the Fender Rhodes, and for the most part, you know, any other instrument other than the Nord was done, other than the Fender Rhodes was done with this guy. So I did all my drum programming, any basses, I prefer to play a real bass, to be honest, because I'm a bass player. But sometimes if I want to do a synth bass, then, you know, I'll do that on here. And orchestral sounds, that kind of stuff gets done on there, horn section sounds. So most of my stuff is done with VSTs, but supplemented by, you know, the Nord that, you know, does what it does. So yeah, and obviously I don't have enough room in here for a real actual drum set, and I think my neighbors would kill me if I started hammering away on my actual drum set. My drums are in the garage at the moment. But good question though. Starting Studio One, this is Robot. He says, starting Studio One, my Matrix Brute is not recognized as a MIDI controller, but it does work. Any thoughts? Go into Studio One preferences or options depending upon your platform, and go into external devices and just check how it's been set up. Make sure that if you're using virtual instruments and you're using your controller to control the virtual instruments, make sure that you have only the Send 2, I think it is. Is it the Send 2? Let me just double check. Options, external devices. No, you actually need the receive from. Yes, because you are wanting to receive data from the controller, not send it back to the controller. That's right. So you only want the receive from set up if you are using virtual instruments exclusively. However, if you're using the onboard sounds on your keyboard, then you would want to set up the Send to as well. If your keyboard has transport controls or drum pads or any other control parameters on it, like some knobs or some faders or something like that, and you want those to control various aspects of Studio One, then what you need to do is you need to set it up as a keyboard and as a control surface at the same time. And it won't create a conflict. It just means that a different part of the device is being used in a different way within Studio One. So make sure that you have those kind of things set up correctly in the first instance, and then go from there. Let's see. Music Motion says all 4 years of high school piano, then the time at Blair School of Music was all Yamaha. My ears got tired of the sound of those. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. They have a particularly distinctive tone. Marco says I've switched to the G2 of KRKs. Looking for Atom T5Vs for the future or Eve audios. You're looking at some pretty expensive speakers there, mate. Atom audios are pretty pricey, but they're pretty cool. I've never used them, but I know plenty of studios that do use those. And another good brand to check out would be Cali Audio, because they are reasonably priced but really good at the same time. And of course, obviously, I'm going to recommend PreSonus speakers. The Eris range of speakers are simply awesome, and you know what? They keep winning awards. The Eris XT series of speakers, I think we came out with those maybe a year or so ago, and they keep on winning tech awards and awards at NAMM and things like that. So, yeah, they are very, very, very well worth checking out. And I'm not saying that just because I work for PreSonus or anything like that. I'm saying it because they're good. You know, there are other brands out there. I used to have KRK Rockets. I had the 5s, and then I had a pair of 8s for a little while. But I didn't really like the KRKs. I got them kind of because I was recommended to try them out. So I got them and I tried them out, and then I sold them. And then I got the PreSonus Eris E5s, and I have stuck with them ever since. Hold on just a minute. There we go. Thank you for that, for my moderators jumping on that. I appreciate it. Anyway, let's see. KRKs. Yeah, KRKs are good kind of low budget speakers. The R65s are nice because they have the ribbon tweeters. My friend and colleague Joe Gilder has a set of those, and they are very cool, and he really likes them, and he has a good pair of ears. Now, obviously, we have different rooms, so what sounds good in his room is not necessarily going to sound great in here, because this is not necessarily the biggest room ever. And his room, his new room, however long he's going to be in it, is way bigger. He has like this whole room above the garage in his new house. So for however long he's going to be there, they will probably sound great in that room. Any bets that he'll be there for less than 2 years? I'll take it. Okay, I'm trying to wade through all of that nonsense from that person that we have timed out, and I've hidden from the channel to try and find some more questions. Music to Motion says, what is Chelsea Flynn? I have no idea. I have no idea why they decided to spam the show, but they did. It's okay. You know, if they'd actually said something that was worth saying and was relevant to the show, I would have gladly welcomed them and they could have stayed and they could have learned something. But, you know, they weren't prepared to do that. They were just saying the same thing over and over again. So, off they go. Ken says, you know you've made it on YouTube when you get spammed. You know, there was a while back, it's got to be 2017. I think it's before we moved into the previous house, where we got spammed by people who were making lewd remarks and posting links to porn and that kind of stuff. But we got rid of them. And then it all went quiet for a while. So, let's see. Kyle says, Eris 4.5s and the sub 8 works well for me. Yeah, in some rooms, a sub is a really good idea. And in some rooms, it just really is not a good idea. Particularly if you have a small room, I don't really see that a sub is a great idea. There is some debate about this, by the way, with fairly polarized opinions. Some say yes, some say no. Personally, for me, if your room is small, a sub is just not going to help you. It's just going to fill the room with low end. Now, obviously, you want some balance, you want some control, and you want to feel and hear some low end in your room. But you also want your mix to translate outside of your room and sound nice and balanced in all across all the frequency spectrum, on your car stereo, on your phone, in your earbuds, you know, all that kind of stuff. So in some rooms, a sub is probably not going to help you. I've never had one, mostly because most of the rooms I have been in are small. You know, the last one was 12 by 9, which is actually the biggest room I've been in. This is 11 foot by 8 foot 6, so it's a little bit smaller. Had we moved to a place where there was a bigger room, you know, like a 15 or 16 foot room, then maybe I would have had a sub. I don't know. It's not kind of something I've ever felt that I have necessarily needed because I have small rooms. Now, the Eris E5s actually do kick out a little bit of beef when it comes to the bass. You wouldn't think they would because they're only 5-inch speakers, but the bass drivers on these are actually pretty good. So they do kick out a reasonable amount of bass. Now, here's what I do personally, because I've always been in small rooms. So this is kind of a little bit of a habit that I have developed and I have maintained since, really. When I'm kind of at that point where I'm pretty much feeling like I'm settled and happy with the mix that I've done, I will listen through on these and I'll make some notes. If anything kind of leaps out that I think needs changed based on listening to those. And if I find, yes, there are some things I need to change, then I'll go ahead and change them. And then I'll listen to them on a set of earbuds that came with my phone. Like, for example, these wireless earbuds, I'll listen on these and I'll see what the mix sounds like on those. And I'll make some notes and kind of see how balanced the whole mix is on those. And then I will play it in the kitchen on the CD player that we have in the kitchen. And I'll listen in the kitchen and I'll also listen in the lounge with the kitchen door open as well. And that way I get to hear what the mix that I'm working on is going to sound like on, you know, fairly regularly used listening devices like earbuds, like a sort of reasonably low price but good set of open back headphones, and also the whole thing of you know, using the CD player in the kitchen and listening in another room means that I can see how well balanced the mix is when it is reflecting off of, surfaces in a standard living environment that the music might be listened to in. And I'll make some more notes if I need to. And then I'll come back up here and I'll make the changes that I have noted down, knowing that those are changes that I have heard that need done from listening in the lounge or listening directly in the kitchen. Things like that. That's kind of my little quality assurance kind of process that I go through before I sign off on a mix and send it off. And that means, actually, my experience has been, since I started doing that I get, I offer, as part of my mixing package, I offer 3 revisions, and then any further revisions on top of that will cost extra. But, there are 3 that are included in the package as standard. But I have found that since I started doing that little process, and especially now we're in a new house, so I'm playing on a CD player in a completely different kitchen, and I'm listening in a completely different lounge now, it means that I've actually found that I don't get so many requests for revisions, because I've pretty much got the mix balanced in such a way that it sounds good in the studio, on those headphones, on my little earbuds, and in the kitchen when I get to do my final mix. So doing something like that is really, really helpful. Let's see. Marcus says, should be very funny to do a call with Jonny via Skype, talk hours about audio. Yeah, I do that kind of all day, every day. I'm on Skype talking audio. It's kind of what I do. Robarth says, and listening in mono will help. Yes, and actually I would even go a little bit further and suggest that doing some of your mix, if not a good portion of your mix in mono, is going to help you a lot, because it will help you to separate out all of your elements. If you can separate out all of the elements of your mix in mono, then when you flip it out to stereo, it will sound wider. You'll have, a better front to back, left to right balance, because you've been able to separate out all of the elements when they are in mono, and therefore collapsed and almost on top of each other. And so you're forced, instead of to go, okay, these 2 guitars are kind of fighting with each other, okay, let's just pan one hard left and one hard right so they are never anywhere near each other. Problem with that is, if you then put that mix on the CD player downstairs in the kitchen, and then you go and sit in a chair on the other side of the lounge with that door open, by the time the sound has come out of those speakers, bounced around the kitchen, come out the door, bounced off the walls in the lounge, and hit your ears, it's pretty much going to be collapsed to mono anyway. You'll not get any sense of a stereo image. So if your mix, if you find that when you listen to your mix in that kind of environment, that suddenly, hey, I can't hear the vocals, your first instinct is going to be, maybe I just need to crank the vocals. That's going to be your first instinct, but that might not actually be correct. What might be happening is you have some phase cancellation going on, because you have frequencies fighting over each other, and that means that your vocal is getting buried because there are other frequencies that are masking it. And that can happen. So the way to deal with that is to go back into your studio, sit in your mix position like I'm sat right now, hit the mono button, and then try and, get the vocal to really pop in a mono context, and then print your mix again, take it back down and check it. Is the vocal much more present now? Yes, it is. Well, there you go. You've used EQ alone to separate out your elements of your mix, and it will make you a better mix engineer. it'll make you work harder at EQ and not kind of go, okay, I can push that over here, I can push that over here. They're not going to meet anyway. Well, yeah, in your stereo, nice, apex of your triangle sweet spot, they're not going to meet. And maybe on headphones, they're not going to meet. Maybe on earbuds, they're not going to meet. But if you're listening in a different room, it's going to be collapsed to mono, and those elements might disappear, and your mix will suddenly become out of whack and unbalanced. So those are things to think about, and that's why I mix in mono. And it's not because I think that everybody is going to listen in mono. No, that's not why you mix in mono. You mix in mono so that the end resulting stereo mix is actually better, because you're using EQ and compression alone to separate the elements of your mix rather than panning. So that's kind of what I do. That'll be Michael. Let me go copy that link. And we'll post that in the chat. So if you want to go over to Music to Motion's Zoom call after the show, the link is now in the chat, so you can go and check that out in about 10 minutes or so's time. Ken says, the more I attempt mixes, the more I realize that there are no shortcuts. I mean, you have to pay attention to the details and put in the work. There's no magic wand. Exactly right. That is exactly right. There is no magic button that says, mix my song. There are products out there that will help you get a good chunk of the way into a mix. There's the Chris Lord Algae thing that he came out with, I think, last year, and there's a couple of other things that will help you kind of check your mix against a commercially released mix, and will spit out some kind of EQ curve, and you can go, oh, okay, so my bass is a little bit more hefty than this commercially released product. And so there are products out there that will do that, and those things are all good and helpful, and they really are. They are really good, and they are really helpful, but there's no substitute really for sitting in your mix position with these and listening hard and attuning and attenuating your ears to the important things that are going on in your mix. And also learn your room, learn your speakers. Right now I've only been in this room for a couple of weeks, in fact. I think I set things up here on just around about July the 7th or 8th. So I've only been in here for a few weeks, so I'm still learning what this room is like. I'm realizing that there is a little bit of a low-mid build-up in here. I've got some acoustic treatment up here, but it's only temporary stuff because this is a brand new built house. So I can't put anything heavy duty up on the walls just yet. I have to wait for the house to kind of settle down and get, for the house to get used to having people living in it, and for us to get used to living in it as well. So maybe in 6 to 9 months' time, I'll be able to get my temporary treatment off the wall and actually put some much more hefty treatment on the walls. So for right now, I know that there is a little bit of a low mids build up around the 450, 480 area. And so I have to bear that in mind. So the sound coming out of my speakers, to me, because of the room, sounds like there is a big bump at between 450 and 480. It isn't really there. I know it isn't really there. That's my room. And that, again, is where referencing is going to help me a lot on different speaker sources, and also using reference tracks so that I know what a good record sounds like in this room, in this sweet spot with these speakers. So, I will play Steely Dan's Asia, I'll play Donald Fagen's The Nightfly, I will play John Coltrane's Impressions, I will play John Coltrane's Giant Steps, because to me, those are the 4 best recorded, mixed, and mastered records ever made. Miles Davis's Kinda Blue is probably in that list as well. So there you go, that's 5. And so I know that if those 5 records sound great on these speakers in this room, then I can kind of use them to kind of guide what my mix should sound like in this room, and therefore how it's going to translate out of this room. So yeah, learn your room. It's important. 'Tis important. On vinyl records, they mix the bass in mono from 200 hertz to 20, and I learned that on a YouTube video. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. I don't tend to work with vinyl. I would like to do some vinyl pressings. I would like to do some mixes for vinyl, but nobody has asked me to do that yet. Old School Funker Soul says, great advice on monitoring and mixing. I've got better mixers applying similar techniques. Yes. Marcus says, for me, mixing quieter works. Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Because your ears are going to get less tired less quickly, and therefore you will less quickly lose your sense of objectivity when you're working. Here's what I tend to do when I'm mixing. I set a timer for 20 minutes, and I will mix for 20 minutes. But again, keeping my speakers at around about 75-ish dB. I don't push them much beyond that. But yeah, around about 75 dB. I will mix for 20 minutes solid. And then as soon as that alarm goes off, I stop everything, I walk out the room. And I go into a different part of the house for 20 minutes. And then I come back, I mix for another 20 minutes. And I keep doing this over the life cycle of the mix. The reason I do it is A, to stop these guys from getting fatigued. And secondly, because I want to remain objective about the work that I'm doing. Now, I know that if the longer I work for on a particular mix, the more my ears are going to get fatigued, the more I'm going to lose my sense of perspective and my sense of objectivity about exactly what am I doing to this mix. Am I still on track? Am I not still on track? And the cool thing is, when I walk out the room, I come back with refreshed ears and I press play. I don't actually start tweaking anything. I just press play and I listen all the way through from start to finish. And I go, okay, this is going well. Or, maybe I've kind of over-egged the compression on the rhythm guitar a bit. Or maybe I'm kind of overdoing it with that low mid bump on that bouzouki or whatever it happens to be. I never mix bouzouki, but it could be. I hope you kind of get what I'm driving at here. So taking a regular break, planning that into your mixing schedule will really help you a lot. Keep your ears fresh, keep your perspective, and regularly refer to your reference tracks throughout the course of your mix. You know, even if you've been mixing for years, reference tracks are still going to be useful. They're still going to keep you honest, because nobody is an island, or at least nobody should be an island. That would be my view. That's not to say that I would use reference tracks on every mix. I don't. At the moment, I'm going through this period where I am using reference tracks pretty much on every mix that I do, because this room is new to me. I'm still trying to learn what sounds good in this room. So reference tracks are going to help me get there faster. Once I'm at the point where I have learned this room and I'm pretty comfortable with what the plus points are and what the negative points are in this room and how to kind of handle them, then I probably won't use reference tracks quite as much. But it's always a good thing to do. Low End says, I'm in an open basement, so I use my headphones a lot. Cool. And you have the HD7s as well. Cool. As well as some DT770s. Cool. Music to Motion says, I have an idea. Maybe do a challenge on your Facebook page or something and do viewer mix reviews. Now, that's not a bad idea. Thing with that is we have to be careful about copyright. So, you know, for as much as I would like to do some reviews of people's mixes, it's got to be original work that you've got permission from the artist and the publisher to for me to be able to play that mix. Otherwise, my show will get copyright strikes, and if my show gets copyright strikes, then my channel will get copyright strikes, and then that'll be it, game over. So that has to be done with care, but it is a great idea though. Mika says, some people say that the folded tweeter speakers like Adam's cause less fatigue. I have heard that too. I don't know whether that's the case or not because I've never used them. So I don't have any personal empirical evidence to be able to support that. But I do know people that do use those particular speakers, and they have said, yeah, actually, you know what? I mix on these and I can mix for much longer than on another set of speakers. So yeah, that may well be the case. That's funny. Let's see. Used Motion says, yes, only original works. Yes. All right, Michael, please do me a favor. Drop me an email and you and I can kind of, you know, talk back and forth about how we should go about doing this. Yeah, I like the idea. I do like the idea. And maybe we could do, you know, once a month, we could do that. It's a good idea. Anyway, we are at the end of the show. And you guys have asked some really good questions because you've got me talking for most of it, and I've not really done anything else. He says, when I say mix reviews, I don't mean mixing other songs. I mean original mixes that folks compose themselves. That's fine, yes. If it's your own original material and you want me to listen to your songs from a songwriting standpoint or a mixing standpoint and review it publicly on this show, then yes, absolutely, we can do that. And the way to do that is to submit it to me via Jonny at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. And probably best to send it as an MP3 at the highest resolution possible, which would be 320 kilobits per second. Yeah, if you do it at that high resolution, then I should be able to adjudicate them pretty well. So, yeah, why not do that? Just Bob says, why not offer up one of your songs to do a mix challenge? We could certainly do that. I'll have a think about which song to put up. If you have not already gone and grabbed the free compression course from my website, there is actually a bunch of stems that you get with that, which is the multitrack files. I say stems, I meant multitrack files. There's a bunch of multitracks of one of my songs that you get with that. So if you haven't gone and grabbed that, go grab it, because that compression course and those multitrack files are actually going to be going away very, very soon, as is that particular incarnation of my website, by the way. I'm building a new website because I need to move off of Kajabi, which is what I've been using for the last couple of years. And I'm moving to another platform. I haven't decided which yet. But yeah, so I'm building a new website, and some of the features that I had in Kajabi won't exist in this new site. So it is what it is. So those things will be going away for a while. Maybe I will try and bring them back with the new platform. I'll have to see how I can do that. I would like to be able to if I could. So that means that if you have purchased one of my courses from the store on my website right now, but you haven't actually downloaded the course materials, you've just been kind of like doing them on the site, you need to go and download all of the videos and all of the content that goes with those courses. Just download them onto your computer so that you have them forever, because those courses will be going away for good. They'll be going bye-bye. They will not be coming back. Because, well, there are reasons. But yeah, so if you have purchased one of those courses, go grab everything related to that course from the site, download it to your computer. If you've not purchased one of my courses and you would like to, then go ahead, go to the website. The address is below at the bottom of my screen here. Yep, there we go. Look, JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. There is a store button there. Go hit the store button and go and purchase the courses. And then once you purchase the course, download everything. That would be my view. Because the whole thing is going to go. So that's going to be happening probably this week. So you've got till Friday. Let's see, Friday? Let's say Friday. All right, I'll let you have until this time next week. So basically August the 1st. Everything store-wise, the compression course, and all of the which is a free course, by the way, and the other ones which are not free. If you've purchased them, not purchased them yet, but would like to, go grab all the stuff now, because by this time next week they will all be gone. All right, so until then, folks, thanks very much for coming, and I will see you all on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over on Jonny Gibe's YouTube channel, which is Home Studio Trainer. Go and check that out, and it'll be 6 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday. Usually he hosts it, sometimes I do, so there'll be an announcement as to whose channel it's going to be on anyway. So I will see you then, folks. Good night.